Talking juiciest narratives coupled with a juiciest bet for week 5. We're a month through the season. Talk to me about what you like. What narrative parlayed with a bet here for this weekend?
Juicy narrative. Joe Flacco should start the rest of the year at quarterback for the Colts. Listen,
wow.
I think Joe Flacco's life flashed before his eyes last year on the couch. He was like, man, I do not want to be doing this. And when he got that opportunity in Cleveland, he did the most with it. He came out guns blazing, no holds barred, not scared. I'm just going to go out here and play loose and free. And when he came in last week for the Colts, that's what it looked like again. Anthony Richardson needs a lot of work.
It's like a raw talent.
He's as raw as it gets. I wouldn't mind if he sat a whole another year behind Flacco and did his thing. I mean, I'm not a Colts fan. If I was a Colts fan, I'd want him to play. But he's hurt again. He didn't practice today. We're shooting this on Wednesday. He didn't practice Thursday. They're looking at him like he's not going to practice on Thursday.
Was there nothing, I guess just pushback, comfortability with the Steelers, knowing Tomlin coming in relief against a familiar foe? Does that matter at all? Can he go to Jacksonville versus an 0-4 club and take a dub?
I like the Colts with Flacco. He's an upgrade from Richardson at quarterback, period. And I think them going to Jacksonville on the road, who didn't look very good last week, the box score and the score and how tight that game was against the Texans is a little fugazi because on the first drive, the Texans muffed the punt and the Jags scored right after that. It was 7-0 Jags. And overall, they had big problems, the Jags. They look lost. Trevor Lawrence was crowned before he was doing anything consistent.
So the Colts can make a wild card push with Flacco, is what you're saying?
Did you see what he did last year when he won Comeback Player of the Year? He kept the Browns afloat. He could do the exact same thing, if not lead them to a very winnable division.
I feel like Gus Bradley's on the defensive hot seat, and the Browns were a top 2 pass D last year. He's not really going to play complimentary football in Indy with that D that is
Joe
mediocre.
Flacco's going to get rid of the ball, just like he did when he came in against Pittsburgh. That's the juicy narrative that I think he would make a lot more noise in the NFC South than Anthony Richardson.
What year are we in with Sam Darnold and Flacco?
Yeah, seriously.
Getting PT and winning?
Seriously.
All right, I'm going to go down to a little battle of the X's. I wish it was in Buffalo. It's in Houston. We got Diggs versus his old team. And the narrative being that Allen hasn't been able to produce without a number 1 wide receiver, and we're looking at a 7 TD, no INT, 0 blemish on his record. I know he got the break speed off him. We were both on Ravens -2.5, trap spot. But second in the league in points per game with around 30. He's got...
Coming off a blowout.
Sure, he's got 5 guys between 9 and 18 receptions, so he's spreading the rock. But just the whole idea that Allen is a guy that can't go out and put the pieces together as the leader, and then he's going against a guy who kind of was looked at last year as a little bit of the not fitting in if things weren't going well type dude, and 18 interceptions last year, second in the league for Allen to reflect that. So I'm going into the Houston Texans team and land where they're giving up 13 more points than they've scored. And I don't know if it's a sophomore slump at all over there, but they're not playing real D. So I'm going to back the Bills, swallow the 1.5 here on a bounce back after an embarrassment.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
You like
this number initially opened Texans -1.5 and flipped.
Wow.
To them being +1 right now, I believe.
Big toe.
The Bills went from the dog to the favorite on the road, coming off of a loss. And as you mentioned, the Texans have now eked by the Jags. That could have got ugly. They didn't put the Bears away. That was on national TV. The Bears still had a shot to win that game.
Didn't put the Colts away week
Didn't
1.
Put the Colts
Didn't
away
cover
week
2.5. That was a sick beat.
Yeah, the Texans are looking a little shaky offensively, and that D probably isn't as good as we thought it would be. I think, last point on the Texans, we see this in basketball, we see this in football. You start to try to build these super teams, and you have so many guys to satisfy, and it's not as much team ball than it is a collective group of super talented guys.
Well, isn't that wild that you got 18 turnovers with Diggs on your roster, and now you got Mac Hollins and a couple of Madden 78s and no mistakes?
Right. So
to your thought there.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a second-year quarterback in the NFL and Coleridge Stroud, You then have to satisfy Tank Dell. You have to satisfy Stephon Diggs, who are clearly big personalities in the locker room. And then Danielle Hunter's over there. There's a lot of different guys that are new.
Yeah.
They still got some things to figure out over there.
And that weird Super Bowl stat of an elite wide receiver and the years plural of a team with a great wideout or a top-paid wideout and not winning.
And then on the flip, everything runs through Josh Allen in Buffalo. He's not worried about getting anybody by the rock.
There it is. Juiciest narratives.
Yeah,
Juiciest bets, week 5.